Something in the atmosphere around you feels different lately, as if an unseen thread has shifted the emotional landscape you move through. It is subtle, almost impossible to name, yet deeply familiar to your inner world. Someone tied closely to your feelings has been carrying thoughts they struggle to express aloud. These thoughts have been formed and reformed in private moments, tested in imagined conversations, paused at the edge of confession, then pulled back again by hesitation. Still, the intention behind them has not faded. A turning point is drawing nearer, one that carries more emotional weight than it first appears. The person who often lingers in your thoughts, the one whose presence seems to echo, even in their absence, is approaching a moment of openness. What they are preparing to share is not casual or fleeting. It has been shaped by reflection, distance, uncertainty, and quiet emotional struggle. This is not something spoken on impulse. It comes from a buildup of experiences and realizations that have slowly settled into clarity. They have waited for timing that feels right, searching for courage within themselves while navigating their own inner conflict. Now that waiting is nearing its end, and what emerges next may reshape the connection you both carry in ways neither of you fully expected. Everything about this moment carries a sense of quiet anticipation, as though life itself has been preparing this exchange in the background. Even if uncertainty still lingers, there is an undeniable pull toward truth and emotional honesty that can no longer remain paused, creating space for something new to finally take form between what was and what is becoming, with gentle but undeniable change unfolding. After overthinking, after moments where they nearly convinced themselves to remain silent forever, but silence has become too heavy for them, because the truth inside them has grown too loud. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. They have watched you from a distance in ways you never fully understood, not always physically, but emotionally. They noticed how you kept going when life became difficult. They noticed how your heart remained kind even after disappointment. They noticed the way you carried pain without letting it turn you cold. And something inside them changed, because they began to realize you were never ordinary to them. You were never just someone. You were never forgettable. You were the person who stayed in their thoughts when the room went quiet, the face they remembered during random moments of the day, the name that still created emotion in their chest when spoken aloud. And now, they can no longer hide from what they feel. There is a confession building inside them, a truth they have been waiting to deliver, good news that has been growing stronger with every passing day. But before they speak it, understand this: they had to become sure of their heart, sure of their intentions, sure that what they feel is real and not temporary emotion, sure that what they want with you is deeper than impulse. And now, that certainty has arrived. Do you understand what that means? It means someone who once hesitated no longer hesitates. Someone who once doubted no longer doubts. Someone who once feared what this connection meant now sees it clearly. They know what you are to them, and that realization has changed everything. Don't skip, because the next part matters more than you think. The good news they have been waiting to tell you is not surface level. It is not casual. It is not just, "I miss you." It is deeper than that. They are preparing to tell you that their feelings for you never faded, never disappeared, never moved on the way they pretended they had. Even when distance existed, even when communication changed, even when life placed obstacles between you, their heart remained connected, and now they are ready to admit what they once denied. "No one has affected me the way you do." That is the truth building inside them. because every attempt to replace this connection failed. Every distraction felt temporary. Every other conversation lacked the depth they felt with you, and eventually, they had to face the truth. You were never just another chapter. You were the chapter that stayed open. You were the unfinished story. You were the person they kept returning to emotionally, no matter how far they wandered mentally. Something huge is waiting for you, because the message they carry is not only emotional, it is transformational. They want you to know that the version of them who once held back, who once ran from vulnerability, who once avoided honesty, is disappearing. A stronger version has emerged. A more grounded version of this feels like a message that finally lands with clarity after being held back for too long. Something that, when it reaches you, might momentarily stop you in your tracks, not because it is loud, but because it is honest in a way that has been delayed. What they are trying to express has grown heavier with time. It is no longer just casual conversation or passing emotion. There is a shift happening in how they see you and what they want to offer. Your attention is no longer enough for them in the way it once was. They are seeking something steadier, something that feels like real presence rather than occasional interaction. It goes beyond warmth or fleeting affection. There is a desire for alignment, for continuity, for something that feels built rather than assumed. In their mind, this connection has taken on a shape that includes tomorrow, not just today. If you listen closely to what this implies, it is not simply about feelings anymore. It is about recognition, about finally understanding the emotional weight of what has been forming between you. That understanding is what is changing their behavior. It is making them more deliberate, more thoughtful, and far less uncertain than before. And when communication does come, it may feel unexpectedly direct. A message that carries meaning beyond its words. A confession that breaks silence. A conversation that opens a door that has been closed for too long. It will not feel accidental. It will feel like something that has been building quietly in the background, shaped by reflection, hesitation, and repeated attempts to find the right way to say what could no longer stay unspoken. Imagining your reaction, wondering if the timing is right, wondering if you still feel what they feel, wondering if the door is still open. Stay till the end, because there is one final truth you need to hear. The reason they waited so long was not because they did not care. It was because what they feel for you became too important to handle carelessly. They knew that once they spoke these words, nothing would remain casual, nothing would remain hidden, everything would change. And now, they are ready for that change, ready for honesty, ready for vulnerability, ready to tell you the good news they have carried in silence, that they still want this, still believe in this, still see something extraordinary between you, still feel that your connection was never meant to be temporary, and in their heart, they believe the next chapter between you is closer than ever, because some people delay their truth, but they cannot hide it forever. And this truth, it is rising, fast, very fast. Prepare yourself, because the conversation you have waited for may be nearer than you think, and when it arrives, you will finally understand why every delay, every silence, every unanswered question was leading to this moment, because your soulmate has good news, and they have been waiting for the perfect moment to tell you everything. And yet, before they tell you everything, there is something you must understand. The silence between you was never emptiness. It was preparation. While you may have wondered why things felt delayed, why the connection seemed paused, why the words you longed to hear never fully arrived, your soulmate was fighting battles within themselves, that you could not see. Do not skip this part, because what they went through explains everything. They had to confront parts of themselves they once avoided, their fears, their pride, their emotional walls, their uncertainty about whether they were truly ready for a connection this deep, because loving you, truly loving you, required more from them than they expected. You awakened something in them that could not remain half-hearted, and that terrified them at first, because this was never ordinary attraction, it was never surface-level chemistry, it was recognition, the kind of connection that makes someone realize, this person could change my life. And when people feel something that powerful, they either rise to meet it, or run from it until they are ready. Your person ran for a while, not because they wanted someone else, not because they forgot you, not because you meant less than you thought. They ran because what they felt was too real. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. Every time they try to suppress their feelings, you return to their thoughts. Every time they told themselves to move on, something reminded them of you, a song, a place, a random memory, a familiar feeling they could not explain. And slowly, painfully, undeniably, they realized this connection was not fading, it was deepening. Even in silence, even when two people are apart, distance doesn't always dilute meaning. In some situations, it brings a strange kind of clarity instead of confusion. What is becoming clear now is a sense of certainty that wasn't there before. The realization is simple yet powerful. The person in question isn't seen as temporary anymore, not as a passing chapter, not as inconsistent presence, but as someone fully valued. This recognition lands deeply because it replaces doubt with a steady understanding of worth. Earlier, certainty was missing, intentions were unclear, and emotions stayed unspoken for too long. Now there is a shift toward reflection, preparation, and a desire to communicate properly. Thoughts are being carefully arranged, not rushed, as if every word needs purpose and sincerity. There is also awareness that explanations alone will not be enough without real change shown through action. That's why the approach feels different this time, more grounded, more thoughtful, more intentional than before. What may seem like silence is actually preparation happening beneath the surface of things. And when communication eventually arrives, it may come suddenly, almost when it is least expected. People often misread quiet periods as endings, when they can actually be transitions in disguise. Some of the most meaningful moments begin subtly, building momentum before anything becomes visible on the surface. What feels uncertain today may soon reveal itself as a turning point that reshapes everything you thought you understood about connection. In time, what seemed delayed or distant often proves to have been developing quietly, gathering meaning until the right moment finally arrives. And when it does, everything previously unclear begins to make sense in ways that feel unexpectedly complete, truly and full. Then suddenly change everything. Something huge is waiting for you. Your soulmate is not just bringing feelings, they are bringing truth. Truth about what they felt, truth about what they feared, truth about why they waited, truth about why no one else could replace what they found in you. And when they speak honestly, you may finally hear the words your heart suspected all along. I was trying to understand what you meant to me, and now I know. Imagine hearing that. Imagine the silence breaking. Imagine the distance making sense. Imagine the confusion finally being replaced with clarity. That moment is building. It is not random. It is not fantasy. It is not wishful thinking. It is emotional momentum gathering behind the scenes. Because hearts can delay truth, but they cannot bury it forever. And your person's truth has become too powerful to suppress. They miss you more deeply than they admit. They think of you more often than they show. They care more than their silence ever revealed. And now, they are nearing the point where staying silent hurts more than speaking up. That is when everything changes. Because when someone reaches that emotional threshold, they stop calculating, they stop pretending, they stop hiding, they finally act. Stay till the end, because this final part may be the most important truth yet. When your soulmate comes forward, it will not feel random. It will feel like something your spirit already knew was coming, because deep down, part of you has sensed this shift. Part of you has felt that something unfinished still exists here. Part of you has known this story was not over. Trust that feeling, because some connections are delayed, not denied, and this delay, it has been creating the version of them capable of loving you the way you deserve, not immaturely, not inconsistently, not halfway, but fully. So hold your heart steady, because the good news they have been waiting to tell you is no longer far away. The truth is rising, the silence is breaking, the confession is nearing, and very soon, the person who once struggled to express what they felt may finally stand before you with the honesty you waited for. Because your soulmate has something beautiful to tell you, and they are closer than ever to saying it. But here is what makes this moment even more powerful. Your soulmate is not only preparing to speak, they are preparing to reveal just how long they have felt this way. Because what they are about to tell you may surprise you more than the confession itself. Their feelings did not begin recently. The understanding didn't arrive suddenly. It had been quietly forming long before it became noticeable. What you are seeing now is only the surface of something that has been unfolding in silence for a while. There were instances when reaching out almost happened, when your name was already on their screen, and a message was typed out more than once but never sent. Their thoughts would pull them forward, while hesitation held them back at the last second. They moved through long nights filled with reflection, questioning themselves, revisiting emotions they could not easily explain. Yet with every pause and delay, their feelings did not fade. Instead, they grew stronger and more defined. Distance, rather than weakening the bond, stripped away distractions and revealed how deep it truly runs. It is easy to overlook emotions in closeness, but absence has a way of sharpening what matters most. Over time, they came to recognize that what they feel is not temporary or fleeting. It has stayed, persisted, and become more meaningful with each passing moment. Now they find themselves revisiting shared memories, conversations, laughter, and small details that once seemed ordinary but now carry weight. Those moments appear differently to them, almost as if they were always pointing towards something they only understand now. This clarity has changed their perspective completely, helping them see the depth of the connection and why nothing else has ever felt quite the same. Even now, everything seems to lead them back to you. They understand why their heart kept circling back to you no matter what they tried. And with that realization comes urgency, because now they fear something they never feared before, the possibility of waiting too long. They fear that if they stay silent any longer, they may lose the chance they still hope for. That fear is becoming stronger than their hesitation, and when someone reaches that point, they stop observing from a distance, they stop hiding behind pride, they stop pretending there is time forever. They move. Something huge is waiting for you, because the good news they carry is not only emotional, it is intentional. They are no longer thinking in vague feelings, they are thinking in possibilities, in future conversations, in future moments, in future plans, in what life might look like if they stop resisting what they feel. That is how serious this has become. You are no longer just someone they care about. You are becoming the person they imagine in their future. Read that again, because not everyone reaches that level of realization, and once someone does, their heart begins to demand action. Don't skip, because this next truth explains why the energy around you feels different. You may have sensed a shift recently, a strange emotional pull, unexpected thoughts about them, a feeling that something is approaching. That is not meaningless, because when emotional truth builds inside someone long enough, it changes the energy of the connection itself, and your soulmate's energy is shifting toward action, toward honesty, toward revealing what they have hidden, toward finally saying, "I should have told you sooner." Those words may matter more than you know, because hidden inside them is an admission that they recognize the delay, they recognize the missed timing, they recognize the silence, they recognize the uncertainty they created, and they regret it, not because they stopped caring, but because they cared more than they knew how to handle. Stay till the end, because this final truth may change how you view everything. The good news they are bringing is not simply that they love you, it is that they are no longer willing to lose you through silence. That is the real turning point, because before this, they could suppress their feelings. Now, they cannot. Before this, they could distract themselves. Now, nothing works. Before this, they believed time would make the feelings fade. Now, time has only made them stronger, and that is why their confession is nearing, because, eventually, truth reaches a point where it demands to be spoken, and their truth has reached that point. So, prepare your heart, because the person you have wondered about, the person who remained emotionally unfinished in your story, the person who still feels tied to your spirit, may soon come forward with more honesty than you expected, not with confusion, not with mixed signals, but with clarity, with sincerity, with the good news they have carried in silence for far too long, that their feelings for you never left. The memory of you has not faded as easily as it may appear on the surface. Somewhere within the quiet corners of their life, your presence still lingers, shaping thoughts and resurfacing in ways that aren't always obvious. The path ahead may still hold your name within it, even if time has tried to redraw the outlines. What feels distant today could be inching closer in subtle, almost invisible steps. When change begins to form, it rarely arrives with noise or spectacle. It doesn't usually announce itself through grand gestures or dramatic signals. More often, it starts quietly, through reflection, hesitation, and small inner shifts that can easily go unnoticed unless you're truly paying attention. It may start with something as simple as a brief message, an unexpected exchange, or a moment that seems ordinary at first glance, but carries deeper meaning beneath the surface. Life has a way of placing its turning points inside these understated moments, revealing their significance only when you look back. If that moment comes, pay attention not just to the words spoken, but to the emotions hidden between them. Feelings once kept silent may begin to emerge. They might reveal how often you crossed their thoughts, how many times they almost reached out, and how your absence was noticed in everyday moments. In that realization, you may understand that distance did not erase connection, it only delayed expression. What once felt lost may have been waiting for the right moment to be understood, never as distant from their heart as silence made it seem. That realization alone may shift everything, because there is healing in finally hearing the truth you once only hoped was real. Stay till the end, because the next part matters more than you think. Your soulmate has not been waiting merely to confess feelings. They have been waiting to arrive correctly. That is what makes this different. They do not want to come to you half-ready. They do not want to offer uncertainty wrapped in emotion. They do not want to repeat old patterns. They want to approach you with seriousness, with steadiness, with the kind of energy that says, "I know what I want now." And when someone reaches that point, their love begins to feel different, more mature, more intentional, more grounded, more powerful. That is the version of them moving toward you now, not the uncertain version, not the fearful version, not the emotionally conflicted version, but the version that finally understands your value. Something huge is waiting for you, because the good news they carry may include words you once thought you would never hear. Words like, "I was wrong to stay silent. I should have been honest sooner. I never stopped caring. I still feel this deeply. I want to see where this can go." And if those words arrive, they will not be random. They will be the result of everything they have endured internally. To become brave enough to speak, do not underestimate what it takes for someone to confront their own heart fully, especially when the truth is life-changing. Don't skip, because this final truth may be the most important of all. The reason this connection has remained so alive is because it was never superficial. It touched something deeper. It reached a place in both of you that ordinary connections never reach. That is why forgetting was never simple. That is why replacing each other never worked. That is why even silence could not erase what existed. Because some people enter your life to teach you something, but some people enter your life to transform it. And your soulmate now understands which one you are. You are not a passing memory to them. You are not simply a version of what might have been. You remain someone who lingers in memory, someone they still think about more often than they admit, a presence that still feels strangely close even in absence. And in quieter moments, they find themselves drawn back to the idea of you, as if something unfinished keeps pulling their thoughts in your direction. It is this lingering thread of connection that refuses to fade, creating a sense that something unspoken has been building beneath the surface all along. Perhaps that is why recent emotions have felt heavier, more meaningful, as though inner shifts are preparing both hearts for something unresolved to surface. You may sense it as a quiet anticipation, a subtle emotional movement that suggests life is rearranging itself in ways not yet fully visible. And within that unfolding, there is a return energy forming, one tied to sincerity, reflection, and the courage to acknowledge what was once left unsaid. It carries the possibility of honest conversation, of clarity about what was lost, and of recognition of what still holds importance. If this energy reaches you, it may feel like meaning returning to a story that was never fully closed, and when words finally arrive, you might realize that this moment had been quietly forming long before it appeared. Whatever unfolds next, allow yourself to remain open without forcing meaning, because some experiences reveal their purpose only when they fully arrive, not before, and even then, they may unfold gently, reshaping understanding in ways that feel both grounding and unexpectedly transformative as time continues to move forward with quiet intention that quietly settles into deeper awareness over time gently.